How are we all? So, catch up. I've just been to the gym this morning. Not a bike ride. I'll be doing that tomorrow morning. And I've got back. I've had a bit of a chill this morning. I've had a few things sort out, including hay fever treatment. Who else is struggling with hay fever? Eh? Massive difference, says Owen. How are you, Owen? Explain that one. Say hello every single Oh, of course. Massive difference between screen acting and theatre acting. Owen's already answering the question for us. I love it. Guys, if you are on, come and say hello. I hope you're well, Owen, Jane. Who else have we got? Come and join in the debate. Come and see what's happening. Come and get this value that's coming your way. We've got 2 viewers on LinkedIn, Facebook, what else? YouTube Live. Owen says, good, thank you. How are you? I'm really, really good, mate. I'm really, really good. Feeling, as the Irish would say, top of the morning and all of that. So, on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, let me know that you are around. Come and say hello. It'd be good to hear from you. Philomena's on. Who else is on? Malik. How are you doing? You all right? Morning. How are you? So, content this morning. It's an interesting one, guys. If you are able to, you'll see it right in front of you as you look on the feed. You can share instantly. So I want you to literally press the share button and stream it out to your audience. And Emmanuel says, this should be interesting. Of course it is, mate. That's what it's all about. It should be interesting. And it's good. And I love the fact that even yesterday, people were getting involved. People were debating. Owen already, from the offset, said, yes, massive difference. So let's get into the content. Because as Emmanuel said, this should be interesting. Let's have a look at what Owen's on it already. Owen's loving this. Screen acting is about low key, keeping it realistic, and theatre is more theatrical and dramatic acting. There we go. So that, Owen, thank you so much for offering that one, because that is generally the opinion. Okay, so basically it's screen acting, so you need to bring it down, and theatre acting, so you need to bring it up. But let me go into this and let me give you some real insight. So really what we have, in my opinion, get this, is classical acting and progressive acting. So if you've not heard of that kind of duality and you don't really get that, I'm about to open up and let you know the lot. All right, so classical acting. So obviously acting started off in the theatre. Acting started off with people with only certain resources available, i.e. their voice and their expression and their physicality, having to express their performance to massive amounts of people. Okay, so what happened and this starts off in Greek theatre, in ancient Greece. So what actually happened is all the way through to Victorian theatre, right into the 1930s, 40s, 50s, is there was so many conventions where people said, this is what you need to do in order to be able to basically project a performance to lots and lots and lots of people without the aid of microphones or videography or anything like that. Okay, so classical acting, there was lots and lots of different conventions of things that you are told that you need to do. So what they would do is break down things like speech and projection. They would break down things like expression, and let's get in there and let's make sure that all our face is loose so that we can express ourselves loads and people can see our expression from far away. Our physicality needs to be massive. Okay, so basically what I'm describing to you is GCSE drama. Okay, All right. That's one of the things that is taught in GCSE drama, and it's still taught now. Classical acting. All right. And that's fair enough. There's a lot of classical actors out there who use a lot of these different conventions that are basically right from ancient Greece in order to project to a massive amount of people. And it's a skill. It really, really is. Stephen Brailsford said, "Good morning. Anybody else who's on, let me know." So that's classical acting. And we know we taught that. We taught that GCSE, A level, it's still taught in lots of universities and things like that. The only problem is with classical acting now is classical acting, there's not really that much outlet for it. So you could do TIE, you could do certain types of performance. Amdram you see a lot of classical theatre performances. But at the minute, classical acting, there's not really that much outlet for it. What's the other thing? Is progressive acting. Okay, progressive acting. What progressive acting is like, look, I am going to have a performance which is as truthful and real as it could be. This probably started around Stanislavski, okay, where it's going to be as truthful and real as it could be. I'm going to connect with the emotions. I'm not prepared to pretend anything. I'm just prepared to genuinely have the emotions required and have the instinctive responses to all of these emotions, to the other person, to the circumstances, and all of that. And it becomes you effectively living it, the performance. Now, there are some. How does that then actually find its way into modern day theatre? Because there's something called parameters. Okay, so whereas on screen, when the camera's right there, you would only project once you feel and have the instinctive response to how you're thinking, feeling. You have the instinctive response to what the other person is making you feel like, what they're saying, what they're doing. You then don't need to project that particular your behavioral response, your emotional response. You'd have to project your expression, your voice any further than the distance between you and the other person. And that's the level. Okay. So for screen, they get the cameras in and your projection is as it should be based on the parameters of the distance that you are from that person. You do not project any further than the distance of that other person. Otherwise, it looks contrived and false. Okay. Now, if you're using progressive acting in the theatre, your parameters change because your parameter isn't actually about just reaching the person that's just in front of you. You may decide that the parameters is the auditorium. So yes, you still have the instinctive, the real emotion, the behavioral response and all of that. You just then amplify it in that moment. Okay, so that's the difference between screen acting and theatre acting. But actually, what I'm saying is that actually in modern day theatre, it's not as different as you might think because they're still using the same progressive techniques of acting. However, in that decision making as to how to actually project their behavioral reaction, audible reaction, all of that, they then elevate it in order to project to, in that moment, the parameters of the situation they find themselves in. And that there is the difference. Okay, classical acting techniques just do not work on screen. Okay, unless it's something. I remember seeing Game of Thrones where I think like a few they were doing like this performance piece where it was like, right, and they used classical acting techniques and it was used and it was quite cool. But even then they went back in and it was quite cool because they switched between those classical acting techniques and then they went into screen acting techniques and it was amazing to watch these actors, very skilled actors. I've forgotten his name. Richard was one of the actors who was in that particular part of Game of Thrones. Amazing, really, really good, and how clever he was able to switch between classical techniques for this kind of theatre production within Game of Thrones, and then go backstage, and he was just, it was truthful, real, absolutely amazing. Emmanuel says screen acting is more focused on facial expression rather than theatre. It has a lot more physicality and body language to it. Screen acting is more focused on facial expression. I'd say the camera is more focused on the facial expression. The actor isn't whatsoever. Okay, if you're aware, or you're trying to be aware of what your facial expression is doing, I would actually say that you're doing it wrong, because your focus, unlike classical theatre techniques where you focus on really expressing everything, in screen acting, you've got to trust yourself to have the correct facial expression and response and behavioral response, because you are effectively just instinctively reacting to whatever's going on. Okay. Richard Madden, was it Richard Madden? It was Richard E. Grant. That's who it was. It was Richard E. Grant. And it was great to see, because he's a fantastic screen actor. He can do fantastic progressive acting. He can do fantastic classic acting. So there we have it. Let me know if anyone's got any thoughts on that while I wrap up. So really, I don't consider my classes to be screen acting. I tell people that it's progressive acting. And when people say that they come and they are theatre performers, I then work on something called parameters, which basically means, look, if you're screen acting, use all the same techniques, but you think of the distance between you and the person you're talking to, and that is the amount that is only the amount of expression or projection you need. Any more than that becomes a falsehood, becomes untruthful, becomes less real, and you cannot lie to a camera in your performance. You shouldn't. And then if it's theatre, and if you decide that your performance is for the auditorium, you may decide that the parameters of that changes. Okay. Oh, Alexa's going off. That changes, and therefore you need to, once you have that instinctive response expression, you need to project it much more. However, studio theatre, when it's close, the audience is close, you might elect not to. If it's audio, visual, they've got a lot of going on, you may elect not to. You may elect to keep it down, natural, and project only to the person you're speaking to. Let's have a look. We've got some good stuff. Natural movement practice in mirrors is good to help facial expressions naturally. Again, what I would say is there's when you kind of do GCSE drama and they're breaking it down, and you're practicing facial expressions, and you're practicing movement skills, and you're practicing, what you're actually doing is you're effectively saying, I need to put my focus here. And if you put your focus on all of these different things, you are in the realms of classical acting. If you actually work on your emotional behavioral response and being very truthful and engaging truthfully with those circumstances, you then have to trust that your facial expression, your behavioral response will just happen. Just happen. Okay? Genuinely. So Beth says, how much should you focus on facial expressions, and how much do they need to come naturally? They need to come naturally. Was it Sanford Meisner? I'm sure he said, and he's a buzzword at the minute, he said, acting is about behaving totally naturally under given circumstances. I haven't got that quote perfect. What is it? Sanford Meisner says, good acting is behaving truthfully under imaginary circumstances. Boom, did it. Okay. Now, are you behaving truthfully if you have to think about your expression? If you have to put any focus on it? No, you're not. It's about the circumstances being made up. You just then have to believe in them, engage truthfully with them, and realize that your face, your body, every part of your performance, if you are genuinely engaged in that scene, will do exactly what is required of it within that scene. This is where actors go wrong a lot of the time. the focus in the wrong areas. And therefore, if you have any amount of focus on your expression, you will appear contrived. You will appear not truthful, and that will not engage very well with the camera. Okay? This is why a lot of actors put them on camera. They can appear over the top. It's because they cannot get away from just trusting that their expression will do what the actor requires of it if they are genuinely in that scene and engage with those circumstances with belief and with truth. Let's have a look. A lot of actors talk about energy. What do you do to channel your energy? That's a really, really good question, Owen. Genuinely. Okay. Now, what is energy? Energy is your engagement with the scene, the energy that you bring to it. All right. Now, the problem is with energy is a lot of really kind of, I feel, bad coaches out there who don't understand it properly, say to actors, all I want you to do is, okay, all I want you to do is bring it down. So said actor goes, right, I'm going to bring it down. And what does that do to their energy? It brings all their energy down. It's not about bringing your energy down. It's not about bringing your performance down. It's about understanding the amount of expression that you need for the situation that you're in. It's about understanding the circumstances, your belief in the circumstances. So therefore, your energy can still be up. You know, I've got a lot of energy here. Am I moving loads? Am I expressing myself loads? No, but the energy is coming across. Okay? But I'm not having to give a massive theatre performance and energy as well. Remember, acting is always improvising. The things you say, the things you do. You're given the things you say, you constantly improvise the things you do. That requires energy to be constantly creating and improvising behavior in and around your scene. Okay? So I hope that helps. When playing a character, how quickly would you say an actor should understand a character and their emotions? Do you have any advice in doing so? Right, a character and their emotions. Right, one thing we teach, I've got a method called the Trinity Acting method, which go check it out. You can do the course online. It's currently on offer. You get a certificate. But what we teach is that the only thing in terms of emotions you can ever account for as an actor is the character's emotional start point. You can get evidence from the scene, which shows you how the character feels right at the beginning of the scene. That's the only emotion that you can prepare for. And you would do it naturally and you'd do it truthfully, and you would effectively get into the same mindset or the same emotional space as your character before the scene begins. From that point onwards, you aren't in control of your emotion. The scene is, the circumstances are, the other person are basically in control of your emotions. You have to, again, trust where you go from there. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's how you work with emotion in a scene. Okay, really good questions today. Loving it. Christopher Cressy on Facebook says, I understand it is that theatre acting, there is more emphasis on things like it's more pronounced, whilst film acting is more subtle. I think that's it. Absolutely. And I've just explained it, Christopher, in quite a lot of detail. Owen, what I'm going to be doing, Owen says, can you add a link to the offer? So this is for my Udemy course that's online in the Trinity Acting method. I have a link tree, which I'm going to be putting in the description, linktr.ee/Matt Zina. And on there is literally any way to get involved with every single way to get involved with my organization, including the online course in the Trinity Acting method. So I urge you to go check it out. It's absolutely brilliant. It's got 5-star reviews from actors who say things like it's the best acting course they've ever done online. So I hope you check it out. Guys, so it's been a really, really interesting debate this morning. And if anyone who picks this up a bit later has got anything to add, I will respond and I will answer any questions. If anyone wants to get in touch to work with me, I mentor clients. One-on-one, daily coach them. DM me if you have the energy and you want to invest in your career to that extent. I've got the Udemy courses is online, so make sure you follow my link tree. And of course, make sure you follow for every single ounce of acting tips. And also Zina Acting tips. I'm going to be putting up an episode today on YouTube. So it's great to have you along. And as well, anybody who's contributed on this post can always have a free acting class from me. Just DM, send me your email address, and I'll get a free acting class to you. Much love, everyone.